Good evening from New York. This is Selwyn Collins, your host of CWS Journeys. Happy New Year. Let's have a blast in 2016. Let's put our best effort in all our endeavors. Let's strive to make our desires come true by believing in ourselves and doing whatever it takes to make our ideas come to fruition. I want to thank my friend, I'm just going to bring her on without much of an introduction. Sara Bharrat, the wonderful young lady next to me, is no stranger to CWS Journeys. Sara, good evening and Happy New Year and welcome back to CWS Journeys.
Hey, Selwyn. Good evening and Happy New Year to you. It's great to be here kicking off the year with you.
Sara, I just, for our international audience, want them to know that you're coming in from Guyana. And at times, the internet connection can be quite challenging, but I am glad to have you, and let's make the best out of it.
Definitely.
Sara, when you think of yourself these days, especially when someone asks you to describe yourself, what immediately comes to mind?
The word boring and old, the words boring and old.
Boring and old?
Yes, and I'm giving a straight face here because I'm quite serious. I think that over the last year, I feel like I've aged so much, Selwyn, that sometimes I look at my friends around me and I think that I am so not in the same zone with you. Sometimes I really think that. And tonight is going to be a very impromptu night for me because I want it to be as honest as possible, and I find that impromptu answers are best.
I like that. I guess this evening promises to be exciting then. Sara, 2 years ago,
Exciting.
2 years ago you were here. How would you say how would you say you're different to the Sara that was sitting in front of me 2 years ago?
Um, I'm different in so many ways. I think the Sarah from 2 years ago, the essence of me is the same. I still operate by the same set of core principles.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, I've had time to grow, to evolve. I am now the mother of a lovely, beautiful son. I've joined those many parents out there. So that in
Congratulations.
itself is a life experience. Thank you very much. I think that in itself is a life experience, which measures your experience. Measure how much you've lived and how much you've learned. So how different am I? I'm definitely not as provocative and not as aggressive, or at least I'd like to think so, Selwyn. Perhaps I'll have to let you be the judge of that.
Sara, it's never a dull moment whenever we get a chance to chat, and that is why I'm anticipating an exciting evening here. Um, One of the things I realized when I was preparing for this conversation is that our first conversation covered so much, so many aspects of you, and I'm saying, wow, this is going to be quite a challenge here this evening. But let me ask you this though. What are some people surprised to learn about you when they get to know you?
I think, well, if you ask me that question today, the answer would be this: when most people get to know me personally, they discover that, oh, you're a mother now, and they're like, OMG, I didn't expect that. And even the people who do know me personally, I mean, I take my privacy very seriously. So I don't share a whole lot on social media. I am very open about my feelings with regards to social matters. But when it comes to my family life, my personal life, I'm not as forthcoming. So people have been, slowly hearing from me that I have a child, and they no, this is the reaction. So no, are you kidding me? And I've been dealing with that all the time, and I don't know. People they seem to think a writer, an activist can't be a mother too. I don't know.
Hmm. That
If
is
you'd asked
interesting.
me that yeah, but if you'd asked me the same question last year, what are people most surprised? What most surprises people when they get to know me personally? I think it's the fact that I prefer to wear a pair of slippers over nice shoes, or I'm constantly in jeans and a grubby t-shirt. My mom is always telling me to dress and look proper. I just don't do proper because I believe when you've got hard work to go out there and do, and looking proper is the least of your problems, man. You don't need to look proper to get things done. So I think it surprises people that I'm not more concerned with my image.
Sarah, when you hear the word Guyana today, what comes to mind?
I'm sorry, when I hear the word
Guyana today. When you hear the word Guyana, what comes to mind?
Sullivan, the same thing that came to mind 3 years ago, home. Home. I
Home.
mean, when I hear Guyana, that's it. Home for me. It doesn't matter how many horrible things have happened within the space of a year, two, 10, 5 decades. It doesn't matter what my history looks like. For me, whenever I hear the name of my country, I just think of home. This is where I belong. This is where I will try to stay.
So, how has motherhood changed you?
Motherhood hasn't changed me at all. I've always been nurturing. I mean, come on, Selwyn. I think part of my journey has been attempting to nurture people my age who lack role models. This is something we spoke about extensively when we met.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, motherhood comes very naturally to me. And it doesn't change me at all. My friend over at Online Runway, Ashma John, says, and for me, Sara Bharrat, I expected you to be different, but you're not. I don't get it. So motherhood doesn't change you. Motherhood or the act of having a child, giving birth, is not what makes you a mother. It's those innate qualities. It's what you bring to parenting a child that there defines motherhood, not the other way around.
Mm-hmm. I know, Sarah, every time we speak, there's always some social issue that you're passionate about. And, fighting against people being treated unfairly because of their difference, specifically race. Is this still Sara Bharrat's fight?
That is still very, very, very core part of my fight. I will that Sarah Bar that rose and who was, very, very passionate about those issues, that is still me. I have just, I think I've just refined my approach to the problem. I've actively, I've spent the last year at least actively thinking about solutions. In fact, I've been off of the radar for the last 12 to 14 months. People are now seeing me again regularly, and I spend that time with family and thinking about solutions.
Change. That was the sort of battle cry. That was the echo chamber. During the before the last elections, everybody were crying out for change. You of yourself was championing change. Um,
Of course,
what are your thoughts on that today? About almost what several months after the elections.
I thought about the word change. Salvin, change is a lovely, lovely word that's often coupled with hope. And most of the time, it's a central part of manipulation and political games, played, of course, for gain. When I think of the word change now, Selwyn, let me tell you what I think about, and it's a two-part thing. One, I think about the look I saw in some young people, well, not some, many, many, many young people's eyes, pre-last elections. Everybody was moved by the message of change. We all wanted to see, the previous administration go. And it motivated us. It brought something alive in us. So change was feeding passion and change was was giving us energy, and it was doing so much for us. And now, several months after elections, when I think about change, Selwyn, I think that this is perhaps something my grandmother would say. She would say that when you get what you want is not necessarily where you think it would have been.
Hmm.
And maybe last week I was upset about that. I had to say it in Creole, Selvin. Some things we just can't say any other way.
Right.
When you get where you've been going, when you get that change, it's often not what you expected. And that's no fault of yours. It's no fault of mine that I didn't get what I expected. I mean, we've got to make sacrifices, yes? So what I realize is that we may not have gotten the exact brand of change that we wanted, but we did manage to change something. Young people and free thinkers in Guyana did manage to end one party administration, and they did manage a change of government. And in the long run, I think we're going to look back at Guyana's history and we're going to realize just how big of a moment that was. So several months on, I'm not feeling the benefits, and but I think 10 years, 20 years, 30 years from now, I'm definitely gonna see the benefits. This is a long-term investment, a necessary investment.
So in that answer, I'm hearing wisdom. I'm hearing patience. I'm hearing tolerance. Is this the new Sarah?
Um, I think this was always me, but the methods I had to use before did not give me a chance to display these qualities. I mean, certainly between then and now, I've been able to nurture those qualities in myself. But yes, this is the new me. This is the new me. I'm definitely inclusive. I'm definitely tolerant. I can definitely listen. And I am willing to work with whoever I need to work with
Mhm.
to build Guyana. At the end of the day, this is not about egos. It's not about personal likes and dislikes. Who cares about that, Selwyn, in the grander scheme of things?
True.
It's about people with great minds who have great solutions and who have the energy to implement those solutions. That is what this is about. That is what you do when you're building a nation.
After this change that came about or brought, well, let me back up a second. The youth participated in this change, in the last general elections, and you were satisfied, or you feel that something came out of it, and the youth were recognized. But do you believe that in Guyana there's an understanding of the meaning of youth empowerment? And if
Are you there
so,
with me, Selwyn?
hmm? Go ahead.
All right. You'll need to repeat that question for me. I didn't get it clear.
Right. What I was saying, do you believe that in Guyana there is an understanding of the meaning of youth empowerment? If so, do you think that it has changed, or do you see evidence of it changing in the last several months?
All right. So, is there a concept of youth empowerment? Is that what you're asking me?
Not a concept. Do you believe there's an understanding of the meaning of it, of youth empowerment?
I'll tell you what. Before elections, I would have said yes.
Mm.
Post elections, I'm going to tell you no.
Why
And
is
let me
that?
tell you why.
Hmm.
Pre-elections, youth empowerment was being touted as the only thing that could bring change to Guyana. It was necessary to change, the political tradition as it was seen then. Post-elections, you begin to realize that youths were more or less a tool, and that youth empowerment then simply meant something very sinister. It actually meant, let me teach you to stand up and speak out, but I'm going to teach you to stand up and speak out against, or, speak out against this specific object, and that your voice has to benefit me. So I think that I'm not saying all the persons who encouraged the youth voice did this, but The majority of them did this. They encouraged a certain type of voice and they directed that voice to a certain place because they expected a certain result. So, if it's been manipulated, can you call that empowerment, Selwyn? I don't believe that's empowerment because let me show you where young people are post elections. And it's a really, really hard place to be for us. Post elections in Guyana, we're sitting here, we're seeing the same flawed systems. I mean, people are going to say, oh, but listen, new administration, give them a chance. New administration, experienced leaders and politicians. There's absolutely no reason that that they could not have hit the ground running. So post elections, we're still suffering from many of the same things. Yes, we should be patient and we should wait. But I'll tell you what, by next year and so, and I'm not expecting anything different simply because the political tradition in Guyana by next year end would not have changed, and young people are more or less trapped in this tradition.
But Sarah, if I remember clearly, you were always a woman of hope. Be it that you're an activist or so on, you were still a person of hope. And pre last election, you had a lot of hope. And to me, you were happy that the elections came and went, and there was some change. But some might argue, based on what you're saying now, that your hope is being eroded. What do you say to that?
No, my hope is not being eroded at all, Selwyn. Um, Having achieved one end, having seen that young people could learn to use their voice and direct that voice is quite an achievement. And it's like I said, we have to take this type of perspective. We have to look at it, as a long-term solution.
Mm-hmm.
So this is where my hope comes from. So we've learned one lesson. We've learned that we have a voice, that we can use that voice to bring change. So we've more or less learned the power of that voice, Selwyn. So what we've got to do next, Selwyn, is to take our voices and to learn to think for ourselves and to learn to not be easily influenced and to learn to not easily believe promises, but to question everything and question everyone and question their motives. So when somebody comes to me or they come to my young brother or sister and they tell us, listen, I have your best interest at heart, I'm going to ask, do you really have my best interest at heart? Do you really? What's in it for you? And I think now that is a question we've got to ask because when I look around me, Selwyn, yes, there are young people who are in their youth groups and they're in organizations across the country. But when it comes to key leadership positions, key public office positions, where are the young people, Selwyn? Are we seeing them? I haven't been seeing them.
If you had
I haven't.
if you had the opportunity to ask the president of Guyana two questions, what would you ask him?
First of all, I would ask him, sir, please, could you tell me what social cohesion and or unity really means? And then I would ask him, Mr. President, based on that definition that you've just given me, do you believe that this is something that can be delivered to our people given the policies or given the programs that we're trying to put in place currently? Those are the two questions.
What are your pet peeves these days, Sarah? What is truly troubling you?
I told it to you already, Selwyn. What is truly troubling me is the lack of opportunity that still exists for young people and the lack of transparency with regards to how certain things are conducted. What is bothering me, Selwyn, is the lack of honor, the honor that I expected. Because in Guyana, what we like to do is we like to play that blame game and we like to pay people back. So, for example, you were in power last year and you made my life miserable for 2 decades. So now that I am sitting in your chair, I am going to make you twice, 10, 20 times as miserable as I was. And that is the game we're playing. That is the game we like to play in this country.
And there's evidence of that.
Yes, there's evidence of that. We need to open the paper, we need to read it, we need to see what's been happening. There is evidence of that.
Let's speak to Sara, the writer, for a moment. Would you tell us a little bit about those early years before you became a writer? Who was Sara then?
Before I became a writer, it's difficult to answer the before I became a writer thing. I think most writers will tell you that there's not a transition period into becoming a writer. You either are or you aren't, because I've been writing since I've been 5 or 6.
All right,
so.
let me
And it
calibrate. Let me
started-
calibrate the questions here because I want you to answer this particular question. I'm just curious.
Yeah.
Before you started writing on social matters in such a prolific and passionate way, who was Sara? What were you doing?
I was like anybody else. I had dreams of doing something other than walk down a path that requires me to sacrifice most of my life. Not that I'm complaining, but I liked heck, Selwyn, that's such a difficult question because now that I'm thinking about it, I can't even remember what I used to like.
So do you
But
remember?
I entertain.
Sorry, go ahead.
All right, I'm going to need to pick out an age to do this for you. When I was 18, I was doing my best to get a scholarship and get out of here. I did not want to stay here. I did not even want to give the University of Guyana a change. I was definitely not pro-Guyana in any way at all, I think I had been cultivated. I was the perfect migration product. I was the perfect, migrant. I think that's who I was. I was entertaining whatever dream it is we entertain, whether it's the American
And
dream or the
what changed for you?
I think what changed for me is when I lost my opportunity to get a US visa. That meant I had to stay in Guyana some more. And after I had no choice but to stay in Guyana some more, I saw a vacancy. I was telling about this, First, I'd wanted to join the Army because my friend Al Fredericks, his father was in the Army, and he did work study with the Army. And then we started going to the front gym, and I don't know, something about the discipline there really, really got me. And I was like, yes, this is me. I'm going to be an Army pilot. My grandfather died. I have to leave that dream behind. And then one day I opened a newspaper and there's this vacancy for a reporter at the Star News, and I applied. And I think for me, that is what changed my life, being exposed to the ugliness of life in Guyana at that age, That is what changed for me. I've never been the same after that. Never.
This is day 1 of Artists Live's New York trip, and we are at Princess Juliana Airport, heading to JFK in a couple of hours. Stay tuned.
Artists Live!
I have to go check in.
Dans l'avion, ça y est, on est bien reparti, ça va être génial. Artists Live! We're in the Big Apple.
got to the hotel and we got a welcome and we got a bunch of gift bags for our rooms and we got like cookies and drinks and all that. So that was really nice with our Art Saves Lives logo on it. So they're really supporting us and they want to show our art and different things like that. So we're really happy. It's cool.
This is day one of Art Saves Lives.